Hi everyone, I'm Brenda Cardinal of stampintulip.stampinup.net, and I want to thank you for joining us for January 2021 Stampin' Class by Mail featuring the So Much Happy Bundle by Stampin' Up. I've teamed up with fellow demonstrator Gina Wieselman to offer these monthly classes by mail. This month it's Gina's turn to show you how to make and assemble your cards, and next month it'll be my turn. Make sure to watch to the end of the video for a sneak peek of the cards I designed for February and for some bonuses for signing up for the class. Have fun making your cards, and here's Gina.
Hi everyone, I'm Gina Wieselman of MySweetPaper.com, and I can't wait to show you how to stamp and assemble your cards this month. Make sure to pull out these items so you're ready with everything you need for the class. The So Much Happy stamp set, Blackberry Bliss ink pad, Bermuda Bay ink pad, Memento Tuxedo Black ink pad, Stampin' Seal, liquid multi-purpose glue, mini glue dots, Stampin' Dimensionals, mini Stampin' Dimensionals, paper snips, a bone folder, an assortment of clear blocks, and a stamparatus. Please reach out to either Brenda or me if you need any supplies or would like to learn more about becoming a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator or hosting an event. Let's get started. Our first card design is the Happy Balloon card. If you ordered a class by mail kit from either Brenda or me, all of these parts and pieces will be pre-cut and shipped right as part of your kit. If you didn't order a class by mail kit and you need to cut your own supplies, pause the video here and come back once you've cut the parts and pieces. When I'm making my cards, I always like to start with the stamping first so that I get a free shot if I need to flip it over. So we'll start with our Blackberry Bliss ink pad. And on the front of the card here, the happy is already cut out using the happy dies. And so all we need to add is to celebrate you on the bottom. So I'll just ink up and add that. This other piece of Whisper White is just for the inside of your card. So I'm going to come in with my balloon string first. And I'm going to place that to one side. And then I'm going to actually just use this small balloon. While you're stamping the balloon for the inside of your card, you could certainly stamp one on the envelope as well. The other stamping for this card is the balloon for the front. So if you ordered a kit, you will receive the negative piece as well as the 3 balloons for your 3 card designs. And in order to stamp accurately on the already die-cut images, I'm going to bring out my stamparatus. I like to just place a stamp set underneath just to give it a little bit more of a flat surface here. And I do want to note that I have grid paper on this right now. So all that I'm going to do is take this stamp and position it on the grid paper, flap the plate down to pick it up, and these cling stamps are so amazing. They pick right up and stay securely. Ink up my stamp and stamp it on the grid paper. So this serves as a pattern. So what I'm going to do now is just take one of the balloons that's cut and center it up, and then just slide my magnet right on there. So now I can make sure that everything is exactly where I want it to be. Drop in one of my balloon die cuts, ink the stamp, and close. And just like that, I have a perfectly stamped image. Now I'm going to be careful as I'm taking it off, just so that I don't smudge anything. With our stamping now complete, we are ready for assembly. So to start with, I'm going to take this beautiful Oso Ombre Designer Series paper and attach it to the back of this piece. Now, there are a few different adhesives you could use. You could certainly use the liquid multi-purpose glue, which we'll be using definitely for the balloon string, or you could certainly also use the Stampin' Seal. So if you're going to do Stampin' Seal, what I found to be most helpful was just applying the Stampin' Seal adhesive right along the edge of that die cut. Now I went over a little bit here, so I'm just gonna come back with my finger and make sure there won't be any adhesive showing on the front. But then what I can do is just layer on my designer series paper. So I will turn it and just come line it up with one of the sides. Push it across. There may be a little bit extra. I always try to err on the side of cutting things too long rather than too short, so you can just snip right along there with your paper snips. And since this already has some of the Stampin' Seal adhesive on it, I'm going to just go ahead, add a little bit more. And attach it to the card base. So I will use my bone folder to fold the card base. And center this on the front. While we're here and adding these pieces, I'm going to go ahead with the Stampin' Seal again and put in the insert. Again, just aiming for center on here. Okay. The last few elements to adhere are our balloon string, balloon, and bow. So for the balloon string, I'm going to use my liquid multi-purpose glue. And it doesn't take a lot of this, so I'm just going to get a little bit in a few places. I'm not putting it along the whole balloon area, but I found that this little notch, the loop in the string, is a really good place to hold on to. So I'm just going to hold on to it there, kind of position it where I think I might want it to go, and drop it down. When I'm using this multi-purpose liquid glue, I try really hard to not have the shape of whatever I'm adhering skate around, because if it does, it can leave kind of a glue trail in its path. So I try really hard to just get it down cleanly in one shot. For the balloon, I am going to take just a couple mini dimensionals. I might use 2 or 3 of them. Peel off the release paper. And then position that over the string. Now noting, I don't have to go all the way to the top, so I can certainly overlap that as much as I want so that the balloon ends up where I want it to go. And the final touch, this beautiful Blackberry Bliss striped ribbon, which is a brand new item from the new January to June mini catalog. I'm just going to pick up a glue dot and attach that right to the bottom of my balloon. And there's our first design. Our second card design is the Happy Wave card, which was inspired by a swap I received from Betty Weisbrick. Here are the parts and pieces for this card design. Before we get started on this card, I just want to show you how I used my paper trimmer to cut the circles in half. So these circles were cut using the Layering Circles dies. And originally when I went to cut them, I was trying really hard to see the exact diameter of the circle, which to be honest wasn't the easiest thing. And I discovered that if I just come down to this cutting ridge and pull the circle down into that little slot, I don't have to look at the measurement guides at all. I can just come back and cut, and it will be about as perfectly in half as I ever can hope to get. So I just want to quickly demonstrate how I created these pop-up foam-backed letters. So I started with a really amazing product called the foam adhesive sheets from Stampin' Up. And in each package, you get 6 of these sheets, which are just solid foam with adhesive, or with release paper on both sides. So what this means is instead of Stampin' Dimensionals where you have pre-cut hexagons, I can make this foam sheet into whichever shape I want. So what I did here is I measured this word happy from the happy dies, and I found that 3 3/8 by 1 1/4 is about the right length for that. So then I came onto here and cut one of my sheets. So I'm going to go 3 3/8. Now it doesn't cut all the way through, but with that kind of first cut line, it was super simple to come back in with my paper snips and just cut across. Okay. Now with that, I have one sheet that is 3 3/8 all the way across, and I'm actually able to get 3 cuts out of there, and this last little remaining part is 1 1/4. So in that way I was able to be pretty frugal with these sheets, and I'm able to get 4 full happy die cuts out of a single foam adhesive sheet. So now that I have my paper, my cardstock, and the foam sheet cut to the same size, I'm just going to come and peel off the release paper from one side only and position that right on the back of my cardstock. Next, when I bring in my die cutting machine, I'm going to position the die right over both of those layers. One thing to note, I am being careful to make sure that I get the full Y on there. Put on my top plate. And crank it through. Now that leaves me with the full set of letters punched out of this one piece. Now to go through and kind of clean up and actually get the letters cut out, all that I'm going to do is cut along this line that the die already had. So for example, for the H, I'll just cut right there and do the same on the other side. Remove these extra pieces. And now I have a custom mounted foam backed letter, and to apply it on my card, all I have to do is peel back the back release paper. Like usual for this card, I am going to start with my stamping first. So I will take my Memento Tuxedo Black ink pad, and in this case, it's just the word birthday that I need. So I'm going to ink that up and stamp it on my Mango Melody half circle. I do want to note there's a larger and a smaller half circle in this same color, and we want to stamp on this larger one so that the word fits. I also made sure that I wasn't stamping right up to the very top. I left a tiny bit of space there just to make sure that when we assemble, that doesn't accidentally get covered up. That is all the stamping that I'm going to do. If you wanted to get out your stamp set and stamp either the Whisper White piece for the inside or the envelope, that certainly would be a great option as well. Now that we're done with that stamping, I am going to start assembling the card. So I just have these pieces here, and I want to get an approximate idea of where everything is going to go. So if I want to make sure to leave a little bit of space at the top, then I'm going to be looking at something about like this. So what I will do is actually just start with this layer of circles, and I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal adhesive. And as I layer this on, all that I'm doing is putting it pretty much right up against the edge here. And then I'm trying to make sure that it's a straight horizontal line across. And those are really the only elements I need to think about. Then I'm just going to keep building right up on this Bermuda Bay half circle. Come in with my Granny Apple Green. And this time it's even easier. I'm just lining it up horizontally with the existing line. And again, going pretty much all the way over to that edge. I might leave just a hair of the Bermuda Bay underneath showing. Then I will come in with my Melon Mambo, add that layer, and then I'll bring in the smallest Mango Melody layer. There we go. And then for adding this next set, there will be this black layer in between, but I want to make sure you don't see the seam. So as I put my adhesive on the gorgeous grape half circle, I'm not going to go right up to this. I'm going to actually overlap a tiny bit so that I can make sure that seam is invisible. And this time, I'm just lining it up on the other side of the card. And again, aiming for that horizontal line. I find it easiest since I'm used to adding these shapes on the one side. I'm just flipping my card over, and then I will add Granny Apple Green and our stamped Mango Melody. For this one, I do want to just make extra certain that it's nice and straight. Okay. With this portion of the assembly done, I'm going to get out my basic black card base, use my bone folder to get a nice crease on that, and I'm going to attach this to the card front right away. There's already some dimension to this piece just with the different circle layers, so before I get it too much more popped up, I want to get this secured onto my card base. And then while I'm at it, I will just take the plain Whisper White, which again, you could certainly stamp if you desired, and put that on the inside so that I can write a greeting. The next thing that I'm going to do is use my die cut letters, which I have one each in the 5 colors that we used for the circles. And I'm going to attach those to this basic black piece. You will get letters, one each in 5 of the 5 different colors. They won't necessarily match up perfectly. I had a really fun time kind of playing around with the order of the colors and found that it really doesn't seem to matter which order they go in. So now that I have these custom dimension pieces, you can just peel off the release paper and come in and start sticking them. I started with the H and the Y just so that I can make sure they're approximately the same distance from the edge. And then from there, the rest I just kind of filled in the middle. I did mount these to the basic black strip at an angle, which is nice because then I don't have to try and get anything perfectly straight or perfectly centered. It's meant to look kind of fun and whimsical. There we go. And see how easy that was to apply those foam backed letters to this card, and they are popped up the entire way across, so I don't have to worry about them going flat in the mail at all. The next thing I'm going to do for this card is bring out my regular Stampin' Dimensionals, and we're going to use that to mount this black piece and just pop it up even more. Since there's already some dimension in the layering of these circles, what I am going to do is actually just apply my dimensionals right to the white space, peel those backings up, and then add my basic black layer on top. The finishing touch for this card is a couple of rhinestone basic jewels. Here's where I've positioned them in the sample, and you could certainly play around, with where you choose to put them. And there we have it. Our third card is the Happy Fun Fold. And here are the parts and pieces for this design. Like usual, I'm going to start with stamping. And first I'll stamp on this piece, which I've punched using the Timeless Label Punch. I am going to use my Bermuda Bay ink pad and the stamp that says Happy. And I will just ink that up. And stamp that. It looks like I'm a little crooked, and this is exactly why I stamp first. I am going to turn it over. Much better that time. The only other stamping for this card is on this inside piece, and really you could stamp any of the greetings. In this case, I'm just going to put Happy to know you. Just centering that on the Whisper White. With our stamping done, I'm going to go ahead and start assembling. So first I'll take the large piece of Whisper White cardstock and this long skinny piece of Bermuda Bay. And I'm going to fold this along the score line with my bone folder. And this piece is going to get put right along the center of this cardstock. Now I actually am going to use my grid paper as a tool for centering this. So I can see here from the 0 line, if I go to 2 and just a tiny bit over, that is center on the Whisper White. And now I'm going to put adhesive on the longer side so that this short side is on the front. I'll just use my Stampin' Seal for this. And now I know that this white piece is centered, so all that I have to do is come in with the Bermuda Bay, and it actually lines up perfectly with the 1 notches. And that way I can make sure that it is both centered and straight on this card base. The next piece I'm going to attach is the other Bermuda Bay piece that is scored. And once again, I'll just use my bone folder. And again, I'm going to apply adhesive on the back of the larger piece. This time, I'm going to open up this flap, make sure that it's opening to the right and that this flap will open to the left. And now what I'm going to do is just center it on the background, so that Whisper White backing, to try and get even border on each of the 4 sides. And that is what makes up my fun fold. I'm going to go ahead and add my inside greeting. Again, just centering. This time I'm looking at this Bermuda Bay and trying to get equal border on that. We have a couple of designer series paper pieces. First, I'll grab this ombre piece, the solid ombre, and I like how it looks best with the light shade on top. So that's how I'm going to position it. And then this piece with the circles also comes from the Oso Ombre Designer Series paper, which is a beautiful set of 6x6 papers. And in this case, there's less gradient, but the lighter portion I'm going to put on the right side. The other piece I'm going to adhere right now is this silver foil sheet just on the back of the happy. So what I'm going to do is just take this punched piece and cut it in half vertically. Then I will add my adhesive to the edge that I just cut. Now what I'm able to do is add that as just a subtle backing to the stamped piece, and do that on both sides. I just love this way of using punches. It almost looks like I have two different sized punches, but really all I've done is cut it right down the middle. Next, I will take my polka dot tulle ribbon, and that's going to go around the left side of the card. So I'll just put that through and then tie a knot. I really love this ribbon for tying because it's a little bit stretchy, which makes it really nice and easy to get tight, but it's also pretty forgiving in that I don't feel like I need to sit and fiddle with this to get an absolutely perfect knot. But then I'll just go ahead and trim the excess on the angle. To attach happy, I'm going to take my dimensionals, my Stampin' dimensionals, and use either 2 or 3. You could probably get by with 2, but I tend to, when in doubt, I tend to use more dimensionals just so that the shape never sags in the middle. Center that. This star piece was actually die cut from this same ombre paper. It's just from further down in the very darkest section. And that is what functions as the clasp of this fun fold. So it's really important that the star overlaps with this corner. And to get that right, I'm going to take one of my mini dimensionals, fold the card down fully, and put that dimensional right at the edge. When I peel off the release paper, I can then take my star and make sure that it is overlapping with this flap for our fun fold. The last finishing touch here are the epoxy droplets, and you will get 2 different sizes of these. You might get 2 of the large and 1 of the small, or 2 of the small and 1 of the large. But what I really liked for positioning these was to alternate sizes. So with these, I find I'm pretty well able to maneuver the biggest one just with my hands. But for the small ones, I find a tweezer or the take your pick tool or something like that to be helpful for positioning. And there is our fun fold design. Thanks for participating in this month's Stampin' Class by Mail. Here's Brenda with a few more details.
Thanks, Gina, for showing us how to make those great cards. And now I have a few samples I'd like to share with you that I made using the So Much Happy bundle. This first card is a graduation card, And it features the Granny Apple Green paper from the Oso Ombre Designer Series paper. This next card, birthday card, and I used the banner from the Happy Dies, and I used the Oso Ombre paper as my color inspiration, so Blackberry Bliss, Bermuda Bay, Rococo Rose, and Granny Apple Green. I have another birthday card, and it's probably a little hard to see, but one of the dies in the Happy Dies puts kind of a stitched edge. It's just embossed, it's not cut or anything. I'm sorry if you can't see that, but that was fun to play with. Another birthday card, more on the masculine side. The Designer Series paper I used here is the In Good Taste. This next card is called a Sunburst card, and I use the Rococo Rose paper from the Oso Ombre Designer Series paper. And you alternate lights and darks when you put this together, and I love the way that ombre paper gives you kind of almost a suede look. So pretty. And then I used the scallop die from the Happy Dies, and it looked like clouds to me. So I pulled the Under My Umbrella stamp set in to create this cute card. I hope these ideas inspire you to make even more cards with your So Much Happy bundle. If you ordered a class kit by mail from either Gina or me, make sure to follow the link in the email that shared this video with you for a specially curated Pinterest page that shows you even more fun ideas of making use of your So Much Happy materials. February is my turn to design and share the cards with you, and I'm excited to show you a sneak peek of the card designs featuring the Pretty Perennials bundle by Stampin' Up. This new bundle is found in the January to June 2021 mini catalog. The class includes all the supplies you'll need to make 3 each of the 3 card designs, including envelopes. And one of our cards is a fun fold. All you need to do is add the stamp set, inks, and adhesives. From the Pretty Perennials bundle, we'll be using the Pretty Perennials stamp set and the Perennials Petals dies. From the annual catalog, we'll be using the 1/4 inch Seaside Spray metallic ribbon and the elegant faceted gems. We'll also be using elements that have been pre-cut and punched for you if you order a class kit from either Gina or me. These elements include things from the Butterfly Duet Punch, the Treasured Tags Pick-a-Punch, again the Perennials Petals dies, the Stitched Nested dies, and the Tasteful Label dies. The ink colors for our February class include Night of Navy, Petal Pink, and Seaside Spray. The adhesives we'll be using include Stampin' Seal, Mini Glue Dots, and Stampin' Dimensionals. And for perfect placement of some of our stamped images, I'll teach you how to use the Stamparatus. From the January to February 2021 Celebration catalog, we'll be using the Paper Blooms Designer Series paper. This pretty paper was designed specifically to coordinate with the Pretty Perennials bundle. And speaking of celebration, don't miss out on this fabulous promotion. During the months of January and February 2021, you get to choose a free celebration product for every $50 or $100 you spend before shipping, handling, and tax. Or host a party, either your own or with your paper crafting friends and family. And when your party reaches over $300 or more, you get the brand new exclusive Punch Party stamp set along with all the other awesome host rewards. This exclusive stamp set coordinates with many of our punches, including the new double oval punch. Or better yet, think about joining the Stampin' Up family with either Gina or me. The bonus for signing up during celebration is an exclusive assortment of 6 6-inch by 6-inch stacks of Stampin' Up's newest Designer Series paper from an upcoming catalog. To learn more about becoming a demonstrator and all of its perks, contact one of us. The deadline to register and guarantee your kit supplies is February 5th, 2021. We have a special bonus if you sign up by January 27th, 2021. If you register by this date, you'll receive 2 extra completed cards with envelopes from our stash. We also have some bonuses if you find new friends to take our Stampin' class by mail, so make sure to check your email or contact one of us to learn more. If you're not already on one of our email lists, please contact either of us to learn more about this and other fun stamping opportunities with Stampin' Up. As always, we appreciate any feedback you have about our Stampin' class by mail. And until next month, happy stamping!